So currently I am the only player in the absolute world that I know of, at least, that has maxed every single Descendant ARCHE skill tree. So I'm going to talk about it in this video, and people have asked me a few questions, and I just want to go over the answers that, at least the answers that I would be able to give you about these skill trees. I have used quite a lot of these Descendants a little bit more since getting the trees, messing around with the builds and stuff like that. So let's talk about every single Descendant's ARCHE skill tree. So the question number one that I gotten is, did it get enough of a boost to become a meta Descendant again? Now, let's start off by talking about a lot of the Descendants one by one. So, let me just make sure that the game's audio isn't too loud for you guys. Where's TFD gone? Okay, let's turn that down a tiny bit. Alright, there you go. So, let's talk about this then. So, Bunny. Bunny was already very relevant to meta, and Bunny is a Descendant that people will on and off use, in my opinion, and Bunny is still 100% relevant. Will this make him even more meta? With the correct build, absolutely. Now, I do want to start off by saying you can use the ARCHE tree to replace modules in your build. For example, if you were to use the ARCHE tuning with Bunny, for example, or with any other Descendant, if you could use the purple crit rate to get 18% crit rate and then the 7 plus 7 for the 14, you can use these three to replace a module. You can use these to replace a lower level module, or depending on the Descendant, for example in Ace, you can use these three alone to completely replace skill insight. Now, this means that it will overall change every build that we already have. That's something that people need to be prepared for. Now, this is just an example, but this can vary from Descendant to Descendant. And for Bunny, this will make her a lot more relevant. I am working on more Bunny builds for you guys, because, you know, I'm a crazy Bunny main. But this genuinely does make a very, very good difference, specifically for Bunny. Next up, we have Eugen. Now, Eugen was only meta, from what I can remember, is when Deathstalker came out. And when Deathstalker came out, this was a good time to invest in Eugen. Now, do I think Eugen has gotten any better since then? I would say yes. Does the tree make a massive difference on Eugen? I would say yes, and I would also say no. Now, for Eugen, why is it showing me my Bunny's tree? Oh wait, I was just hovering over Eugen, that's why, never mind. But for Eugen, I would say that you would want to go down a path which is more based on firearm attack, and then just increase your HP and increase your cooldown. Cooldown for Eugen's nuking build, HP just for survivability, and cooldown again to just keep healing yourself and everyone else. But I will just let you know simple things like that about some Descendants. Gotta go now. Take care, bros. Have a good one, Vice Delta. Take care. Intoxic, hello, welcome. I'm giving people a rundown of every single skill tree right now, so you caught me at a pretty good time. Next Descendant. Let's go on over Eugen, whether he's worth investing in. I would say he's a fun Descendant to invest in. His nuke build can be quite fun. Would I invest in him right now with the circumstances and everything else that's going on in the game? Probably not. Most likely not. I will also go over top 5 Descendants to focus on for the trees in a little bit later segment of this video. But for now, we're basically good. Okay, next up is Ultimate Viessa. Ultimate Viessa is an absolute godsend. This tree is a blessing to Viessa. Now, I do remember Nexon saying that the framework or the guidance for the Descendants is going to be Bunny, Viessa, Haley, and Valby. These 4 Descendants are integral to remember, because I think that all 4 of these Descendants are the perfect niche for the tree. Viessa more so than Valby and Haley, but I think that this is something that I do want to talk about a little bit later as well. But Viessa and this tree is a blessing. If you go for a full damage build with enhanced skill power and enhanced cooldown, you can do over 10 million damage with Viessa's third ability, and because of this cooldown, you can literally spam this ability. It is that good. That is the build that I use with Viessa right now. I am going to work on it more, get videos out to you guys and all that other sort of important stuff, but for time being, this is essentially what I have gotten and what I think is important with Viessa. Next up, we have Valby. Now, Valby is a descendant that I did just mention. She benefits from this tree significantly. Now, I feel like they've massively nerfed Valby at the exact same time. Now, with Valby, I'm sure you guys know that they've reworked the Colossuses. So you can't set up with Valby even more. You can get additional damage to Colossus, additional skill power, and even additional cooldown, but your setup with Valby is no longer the same. So I feel like they have massively nerfed Valby in that aspect. In terms of her mobbing and stuff like that, her cooldown, having extra of it, is great. And if you were to take advantage of this with the tree and the damage, her damage does increase, but it will also depend on how you build the tree. You gotta put a lot of skill power on to notice a difference, and this is something I did have a bit of a complaint about, I guess. Even when you put a fully maxed out tree, at a lot of points in time, you genuinely don't feel a difference on your Descendant. I've run the same thing on and off, and sometimes there's not even been a damage increase. I don't know whether the tree is bugged currently or what, but that is just my experience. I have a question. If maximize range is a negative skill power modifier, if I put a mod for skill type, let's say singular, fox my singular mod 60.288, does it counterbalance to maintain? Skill power, it has to be the exact same style of modifier. So if you put a singular modifier on, that's not going to fix a skill power modifier. You need to put another skill power modifier. Let's for FYI, I can't see the tree. I can't see the tree changing. Oh no, they're not changing. I'm just hovering over like one tree on the bunny one that I already have because I'm not changing the Descendant. All the trees are empty? Yeah, they're meant to be empty. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a rundown though. But with Valby, you'd want to focus on skill power. You'd also want to focus on skill cooldown, crit rate and crit damage if you're going to do a crit build on on Valby. But that is another thing that you might want to consider. Max MP is also great on her. HP, she doesn't really need it too much, but if you do want extra HP, use the tree instead of a module. It will save you space. Okay, next Descendant. Ultimate Sharon. Now, Ultimate Sharon is another Descendant that I feel like absolutely massively benefits from the tree. You know what? I'll just switch to my Descendants and show you what I did with the trees when I was running them. So that'll make it a bit easier for you. Now with Sharon, I went with complete skill power and cooldown, and then I was going to do these three, and then I was going to do these two. Now Sharon is insanely good. This tree saves Sharon so much to the point where I was seeing critical hits into the millions using her ambush build. So using this ambush build right here is the one that I use. Sorry, not ambush, arena suppression build. I was able to hit into the millions of damage constantly, and I think that this was a really, really good change to Sharon. Okay, from this point onwards, I'm going to show you all of my Descendant builds as well, because it'll probably make it easier for you to grasp the concept of it all. But yeah, this is a good build for Sharon, or this is just what I use to level up. You can see you can get a ton of skill power modifier from the tree, crit damage as well, and cooldown. Sharon with infinite cooldown and just better MP from all these MP stacks on the tree genuinely do make a massive difference to Sharon. She's really worthwhile to do this on. Next up, Ultimate Lepic. Now, with Lepic, I don't know whether this is intentional, but this tree has turned Lepic into God. I would honestly say a Lepic purging build with the cooldown on this tree is something what you would call a god. This tree right here with Lepic, you don't even need damage on here. You don't need damage on here either. You can use this tree and genuinely build Lepic to become an absolute resistance monster for when you are farming purges with Lepic. If you would still use Lepic, these trees just make it significantly easier to make Lepic survive. Alternatively, if you were to just go down the middle route with Lepic for HP, go down this way, increase your HP modifier, get the resistances this way. You can also go out this way, increase your firearm attack, increase your damage overall, and go this way on the tree as well. This means you'll have way more damage on your weapons, and you'll also have way more HP. This is a good tree, or something of this sort of tree would be really good for purging or gun builds with Lepic. Other than that, for the Colossus tree, I'm sure you don't need any introduction. Skill power, Lepic doesn't even need cooldown because of the way he works. So just maxing out skill power, maxing out maxing out Colossus damage over here. MP with Lepic is a great one. Even with his bossing build, with MP, you'd be able to rework a lot of elements of it as well. So that's another really good thing. Now, Glare, the absolute monster that is Glare. Everyone is going to know that Glare is Glare needs no introduction. She's absolutely insane. Glaze tree, 1,000,000% invest in it. It is one of the greatest things you will ever do. Build it for damage, and I was messing around, so I was building it with multi-hit as well to make it all worthwhile. Is there a tree to help him in his Mega Man build? Is that for Lepic, the Mega Man build? Which build is that? Is that the one that makes him boss? Just please let me know once you hear me say these words. But yeah, with Freyna, oh sorry, not with Freyna, with Glare, there's a million things you can do with this. And like I said, these trees genuinely have the capability to replace modules. So yeah, you're going to get some pretty insane stuff out of Glare. Now, even with this, if you don't care about the enhanced multi-shot or multi-shot as a whole, you can literally mess around with extra, what is it? Let's see. Extra, like, just modules. Like, you've got 11 odd critical hit stuff. His Mega Man build from Season 1 for Lepic. Is Mega Man his bossing build? Because I've not heard of the name Mega Man for reference on Lepic. But anyways, for Glare, this one, you can mess with it so much. The firearm buff and every buff that you can get from here, and Glare, even with HP, if you want to add a ton of HP onto Glare, that is not a problem. You can have even better modifier and everything as well. It's gonna genuinely boost Glare so much, and then even resistances will make Glare much more survivable in high level content. Is there a tree to help his Mega Man build? Absolutely. Way more skill power on the build, more MP, and then you can replace skill cost on his actual build, or you can replace skill power on his actual build for more tech, what's it called? Tech modifier. That'll scale even more. Better reactor. The Slayer set still, of course. Even this, you don't enhance his HP because you want him to die and reset. Better movement, better firearm attack, which I do think will work on the weapon. So, you know, there's a lot of things that can help with it. If the weapon works on firearm attack is crazy. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But Glare is another Descendant that she was already meta. There's nothing that will make Glare more relevant. She is absolutely insane. Next up, Freyna. Thank you for the follow, Toxic. I appreciate that a lot. Now, Freyna. Freyna's the first Descendant on this list that I think I actually have a problem with. Now, like I said, I don't know if the trees are bugged or what, but Freyna's tree is significantly more underwhelming than the other Descendants. Now, even with a maxed out damage tree, and a maxed out damage tree with skill power on it, and not a small amount, 1,378 skill power, and range and stuff like that, and even survivability that I was running on Freyna, this was underwhelming. I ran it in 400%, I ran it in Purge, and I also ran it inside of, Sigma Sector as well. And in every scenario, I feel like this tree didn't even do a buff to Freyna, which is absolutely pathetic, considering Freyna is a Descendant that is not in need of buffs, but she would have benefited from this tree so well had they actually done it properly. Now, not to be a stickler, but I feel like these trees are very tuned towards specific Descendants and capping them even harder. Like I said, some trees genuinely feel like they don't make a difference, and Freyna is one of them. Would I still invest in Freyna's tree? Yes, I would, because for her bossing build, this will still allow you to do extra Colossus damage and extra firearm damage, so her bossing build would still be very effective if you do use Freyna for bossing. If you still use her for mobbing, still add the skill power and add the cooldown, because it will make your life a little bit easier, but I would not already recommend investing in Freyna heavily with the tree, because it just doesn't feel like it does anything to me personally. Isn't that due to the fact that Freyna has insane power on her level and therefore barely use benefits from anything on modifier? That might be the state. That might be right. I'm not 1,000,000% sure, but the thing is, the modifier is only 10%. This is just raw skill power, and raw skill power should work very, very well on every Descendant. When it comes to the thousands of skill power, considering our modules are like plus 70 skill power, I was expecting this tree to make everything hit into the millions constantly, like a complete mental buff when you max out these trees, because maxing these trees out is no small task. I've made an entire video talking about all the trees in depth as well, but you know, it's a massive challenge, something that a lot of people do genuinely need to put a lot of time in, boosters, and you don't know whether it's worth investing in a lot of stuff. I think in season 1 they crept Frena's power, base power by 10 or times 100 in season 1. They might have, but I still think that Freyna is already a strong Descendant. This tree should have made her that touch stronger, to the point where she almost feels like Ines, I would say, or she almost feels like this is an actual step up, and I just did not get that feeling with Freyna. I ran several different trees with her. Of course, I ran the cooldown and damage tree. I ran the firearm tree for bossing. The bossing one was a little bit more satisfactory. So yeah, it is insanely high, therefore only gets out quality of life and 10% modifier. Okay, that's fair enough. I can understand that if that's how it's worked. I'm not 1,000,000% sure, so I'll have to look into it a little bit later. But if that is the case, then Vi, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. But her bossing build was more satisfactory, and I do think that's pretty good. Is this going to make Freyna more relevant to just the game? Freyna is already insanely relevant. She's very good at mobbing. One of the best for mobbing, undoubtedly. One of the best for bossing, undoubtedly. Freyna's a great Descendant. Invest in the tree. Yes, I would say invest in it, but also be careful, because, like I said, it might be a bit of a 50-50 in your opinion. For me, I enjoyed it. You might not. Okay, Ultimate Bunny. I did already talk about this. Bunny is great. You definitely want to invest in Bunny's tree. She's one of the core Descendants that I feel like this tree was designed for. So yeah, Bunny is insanely relevant, blah blah blah. You already know about Bunny. Let's move on to the next Descendant, Ajax. Now Ajax is actually an interesting one. Now for Ajax, I do think Ajax is actually an interesting weapon. An interesting one. Now with Ajax, I was running complete HP for his tank. Now, believe it or not, with this tank, I did end up seeing into the region of 70 to 90,000 shield on a shield build with Ajax. Like with Ajax, the build that I used was this, and then I've not even maxed it out completely. Oh, that's the Void Explosion build, wrong one. Big Boss Man, there you go. I was using this build with Ajax, and then full HP components on here as well. Not got them on now, but Ajax, you can make this man so durable to the point where, like, he's actually, like, nothing can kill him. You genuinely cannot kill him. It's insane. Ajax didn't need this, but it's just stupid fun to run. If you've got Ajax and you do care about using him, I would say invest, but realistically, I'm going to have to advise against investing in this, unless you're completing all the Descendants trees just for the sake of it. I would say Ajax is a pass, only because aside from a tank, there is not really too much else you can do with Ajax, and at this point in the game, when Serena exists, A-Times exists, 1 second Tormentor exists, and balance is not real either, Ajax does not hold a place in one of the trees you should 100% invest in my personal opinion. If you're an Ajax main, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend you, but this, in my opinion, was fun, but not satisfactory. It was worth doing, but it wasn't worth doing in the sense that it was actually something I would use to a day-to-day basis. Tank Ajax is a fun Ajax, but it's not an essential build that you need for this game. I will be a tank god. I respect that highly. Okay, oh goodness. Serena Antonietta. Do I need to say anything about Serena? I'm here, I might as well. Serena does not need the fucking tree. The tree needs Serena. She is such an insanely strong Descendant, and with the amount of HP you can throw on with 110% extra HP, resistances, and firearm attack and multi-hit damage and everything, Serena is just the most broken Descendant in the game, without a doubt. I'm going to make another video talking about power creep and the issues in this game, but Serena is just a goddess, literally. She is the strongest Descendant in the game, without a doubt. This tree just punched Serena from... This tree made Serena punch you down, stand on you, spit on you, laugh at you, and walk away from you. Because this tree is just insane. Serena with this tree is a perfect match made in heaven. Pun intended. She needs the tree. Invest in Serena's tree. If anything, Serena's tree should be one of the first trees you invest in. That's how much of a difference it makes. So, yeah. Serena is meta. She's everything right now. Invest in Serena's tree. Of course I'm going to say that. Luna. Luna is such a great Descendant already, and if you don't think that, you have not understood Luna at all. Now, does the tree make a difference to Luna? Yes. One of the biggest differences in the game, and I'm going to exaggerate this. I'm not exaggerating this. Luna is one of the top 5 best Descendants that have been fixed by this tree. That's how strong this is. This tree with Luna, with the Noise Surge build, or even just with the skill buff build, is absolute insanity. Now, just for reference, if you don't understand Luna, she's got this module called ARCHE Concentration. Now, when you use this, it will stack. And basically, the simplest way you can see this is if you look over in the middle, depending on the number of stacks, defense increases and MP increases. But whenever you roll or grapple, it will all be reset. Now, this will increase a ton of aspects of Luna, and this works based off MP. Now, with the tree on Luna, you can put a lot of HP, but there is a lot of MP dotted around these trees as well, which if you go Pokemon Hunt Catch 'em All with Luna, you can still get an extra 10+% of MP. I'm missing a lot of them here because I was just messing with the tree here, and I was using this one for Noise Surge, and this genuinely made it almost impossible for me to die with Luna. This tree right here, it doesn't even do insane levels of damage. This tree, along with the Noise Surge build that I use with Luna, which is this one, it's not even finished, and it was still destroying everything. And I'm talking like 500,000 crits to the beat of her instruments, and this is just constant crits everywhere, constant damage. Noise Surge Luna benefited from this insanely. Skill buff Luna and gun buff Luna are gonna be in a whole nother realm of like fucking insanity, to the point where Luna curb stomps Enzo out of existence when it comes to buffing, in my personal opinion. That is how drastic this tree change is, specifically for Luna. A lot of people don't understand this, but Luna is already insanely strong, and this tree has made Luna the absolute best buff / support Descendant in the game, without a doubt. Okay, Kyle. Actually, you know what? Kyle, funny Frenchman. Now, believe it or not, Kyle's obviously not a very meta-relevant Descendant. Also, sorry, I forgot to mention, is Luna going to become more meta? I hope so, and I do believe so. Luna is genuinely insanely good, and she's going to be on the rise even more, because people are going to be min-maxing Luna a lot more now, I feel, and Luna is definitely going to come back into being more used. Now, Kyle, unfortunately, the funny Frenchman will not be coming back to the meta. Is this boost worth it on him? Yeah. It's gotten me to a point where I'm going to invest in Kyle. I've only not invested in 3 Descendants, that being Kyle, Esimo, and Keelan. And I'll talk about the other 2 later, but this tree is so much of a difference that it got me investing in Kyle. I'm going to invest in Kyle because of this tree. It made that much of a difference. Even with just this tree here, I was getting almost 9 million damage with his 4th ability. That is criminally good damage, and that is without a build. What I was running on Kyle is what you would consider the, yeah, you don't even call this a build. This is just an insult to Kyle, because this is an actual, genuine, really good Descendant, and this tree has buffed Kyle. I want to see more Kyle love, because this man has genuinely been fixed. He's been buffed genuinely over time, but this has made him significantly better, to the point where I think Kyle is going to come back. Meta, no. Fun, yes, for sure, 100%. Kyle is genuinely, I wouldn't say he's fixed, but he's genuinely become significantly better. And I think that just damage with the bossing build is a great way to go. Keelan, conveniently up next. Keelan. Now, I do not know everything about Keelan, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think this tree has made a massive difference on him as well. This tree has made Keelan, not a massive difference actually, I'd say it's made a, between big and massive, so about in the middle of their difference to Keelan. It's made his damage a lot more viable, and his damage was already great, but his cooldown is where it really shined. And his cooldown was, it had me feeling like I am a flipping shinobi straight out of the Hidden Leaf village, pulling ninjutsus on everybody's ass left, right and center with how fast the cooldown was with this one. I'm not joking. Keelan's cooldown with this shit is insanely good, and it just felt really good to be really active and moving around a ton with Keelan. Would this make him more relevant? No, and I think this should genuinely stop some Keelan hate. Once we get the Keelan experts and dropping builds with this tree on it, yeah, you cannot hate on Keelan. His potential is actually insane, and playing him with this tree made me realize that, yeah, I am an idiot for not taking care and not investing in Keelan. So Keelan is another really good one. On to the next Descendant. Jabba. Right. Jabba. Don't do it. On to the next Descendant. So, okay, fine, I'm sorry. Jabba, just don't do it. It did not make a difference in damage. His cooldown was the only perk, but it's not even a perk with Jabba because it's just fucking horrible. Like, as part of my French, but the cooldown is not enough to justify investing in this shit. You could give Jabba special access to every single node on this tree, and it would still not be worth him investing in it. I promise you. It's just not made a difference at all. Jabba's issues lie within him himself, not within his abilities and his tree. I remember when his turrets used to crit, he used to actually do damage then. I don't know what happened to that, and I encourage you to leave it. It's a mistake that you can forget and move on from. His tree is not worth investing in, and we can leave that at that. As for the dirty British woman, Ines. I'm sorry, guys. I will not insult Ines. I swear. Okay. For Ines, this tree is something else. If there was any Descendant that did not deserve the tree, it is this one. She already is absolutely insane. This tree takes her from being one of the strongest Descendants in the game to, I want to maybe occasionally perhaps consider having a fight with Serena level of Descendant. Off her first ability, with a cooldown build and a damage build, I was able to hit 2.5 million damage with her first ability alone. Her fourth ability hits like crazy numbers and crits everywhere anyways, and having more MP out of Ines is already just criminal. Having more MP and more skill power is unnecessary. Cooldown might be a cool touch on Ines, but besides from cooldown and even HP you don't need, you can genuinely consider just calling it a day, because Ines does not need any of this. Ines is the Descendant that will sit on top of the tree and laugh at the tree because the tree thinks it's helping Ines, but in reality Ines does not need the help. That's how I can best explain it. With tuning I can run Ines to 28. No, with tuning you can use Ines up to 30. They are also nerfing to Purge 28, 29. So you know, that's gonna be a fun one to witness. And yeah, Ines does not need this tree. Does this tree allow you to break Ines? Yeah, for sure. If I was to use this tree here, for example, you can get more crit damage out of her, crit rate. So you could, like I said, replace skill insight with just these 3 modules. And you can replace that with more damage, more skill power modifier damage, more singular damage, or whatever else Ines needs. Oh, sorry, not singular, tech damage. Ines is insane. This tree buffing Ines is not needed. It just destroys balance even further. and Inés is already busted and is going to get nerfed. Maybe after the nerf this might be a different story, but as of right now, Inés is something what you would consider the absolute top and does not need anything being done to her. Haley, my queen Haley. Haley is an example of what I would call the holy shit, what the fuck just happened to this Descendant syndrome. Now, what I mean by that is, this tree will, it does what it does to Viessa, Valby, and Bunny. It takes a Descendant that is good and strong and already turns them into a Descendant that is greater and stronger. So, what I mean with that is, if you run this tree, which is what I ran just as a joke, for skill power, Colossus damage, weak point damage, and crit damage, Haley's sniping build will already just melt, and this just makes it melt even further. Oh, this is the gunning build. Like, this is the sniping build, and it just makes it melt even further. It's so funny when I use this build and I hit like 8.5, 9 million crit, because I'm just sitting there like, bro, I used to remember hitting 5 million and thinking that was the peak of this game. But you can double that now almost with this tree. It's just insane damage. Now, for Haley and Purge, that's another build that you'd want to consider using. I would just go with cooldown on here. So then you can absolutely remove cooldown from your build. Then I would also go with skill, crit damage, crit rate. So that would also be just allowing you to crit everything with Haley. So literally just going from here up, because you do want skill power, up to here, all the way to there. Adding that little down bit over there, and then just going for full firearm. So from there, just go straight across, more firearm and attack, all this stuff right over here, and you can just get even more firearm attack with Haley, and you're good to go. Gun like an absolute monster. It works perfectly good with Haley. Like I said, Haley is an example of a Descendant that was already great, and has just been already good, and has been elevated to great level. Now, let's move on to the next Descendant. Essimo, yeah, another really, really good one actually. Essimo with his 4th ability, with cooldown and with skill power, he was massively buffed, and even with crit damage on top at the end over there, which I've taken off for some reason, I don't know why. This was a ton of fun. I didn't know much about Essimo going into him leveling his arcade tree, but this has made a big difference to Essimo's tree. And I do think that this is genuinely probably the best case for Essimo. This tree has genuinely turned him into a Descendant, which of course will not become meta again, because Descendants really need something core and groundbreaking to come back into meta. But this is genuinely something a lot of fun, and I do think that this is worth it in the long run. Okay, on to the next, and I believe the final Descendant, which is, oh sorry, not final, last few, Enzo. Enzo. Holy Enzo. Where do we begin with you? So, Enzo, you can put cooldown on here and get cooldown off his build. You can put firearm attack on here and your guns are going to do way more damage. You can put HP on him and make him into a tank, which I have seen up to about 45,000 HP on. It's Enzo, guys. He's the one Descendant that truly does everything in this game. You can make him mob with a relic. You can make him boss with a legacy, boss with a dagger. It's Enzo. That's all I have to say. He's already incredibly meta before bossing, support, and stuff like that. I think Luna is better than him with this tree, but I would still absolutely suggest I'd recommend investing in Enzo, 100%. It's worth getting this tree done, for sure. It is a lot of fun to use him generally, and this makes it a lot more worthwhile, especially when it comes to Colossus's support. Just overall buffing what is already great about Enzo and turning it to something even better. Like, the tier list for this game now is going to be so hard to put together. Also, Barney Enzo, guys. Barney Enzo. Right. Now on to the actual last Descendant, Blair. Now, Blair, even with a simple cooldown and damage, May's abilities were hitting consistent. His first ability, even with the wrong reactor, was hitting consistently 100,000 damage. His 4th ability, consistently 7 million damage. Yeah, this is a pretty good Descendant, and this tree genuinely helps him a lot. Now, Ultimate Blair will be coming soon, so I think they're going to buff him even further. along with this tree. So if there's a tree that I would recommend, Blair is a good tree to do so. For his gunning build, same principle applies. Apply firearm attack, all these resistances. This one is a great node to apply as well. And then extra HP and then resistances here. Now, there's one other thing. Wait, is this the last Descendant? Let me have a look. Enzo, yeah, this is, oh sorry, Blair, this is the last Descendant. So I'm going to go over something else with the skill tree as well, which is something that I really like, but a lot of things people do not know about. So, let me just quickly show you this on a fresh tree with Enzo. So, if you go down here to skill, this skill over here, enhance movement speed. So movement speed and sprint speed are additive. So once you hit the sprint cap, if you boost your movement speed, you will go over sprint speed cap. Not by a long margin or a massive margin, but it will still happen. Now, if we buff this all the way, you can see we get 6.7. Now, if we use a weapon on Enzo, for example, this Legacy has 19 plus 19 plus 14. What is the math on that? 19 plus 19 plus 14. Let me just do the math on that. So that's 52. So we've got 52 sprint speed on this Enduring Legacy. Now with this tree, this will bring us up to 1,269. Now, what does that mean? That means that we have added 6% onto the sprint speed. Now, this is percent works by 1% on the core. So 1% on a sprint core is the same as 1% on the tree. So if I was to hold a Peacemaker, which has a 60% sprint speed, I would have full max 1300, meaning I'm permanently at sprint cap. Permanently. And you can let this flag down, and I believe any percentage up to about 56, anything below 56 in terms of sprint speed, we're not allowed to hit cap permanently. But even something as simple as this would work. Now, where could you use this? If you're using a build, for example, on Bunny, you might want to go with this. You might want to go with something like this. If you're going with full cooldown, sure. Oh, I can't do that, actually. Never mind. Full cooldown, or yeah, let's just dash the MP off because you don't need that much of Bunny. Let's say you're going with a crit build. You might put crit rate on there. That's it. Now, you can use this to absolutely dog. This is going to work great. Alternatively, if you don't care about your MP and stuff like that, skill damage, you'd come back to this part. HP, skill reduction, oh sorry, skill damage, mana modifier, a little bit of extra HP, more modifier. There you go. That would be an example of a tree that will allow you to do more damage, move to the absolute peak of your abilities, and do even a bit extra. Now with movement as well, you can break sprint cap. Let me show you how real quick. Very simple. Plenty of methods to doing it, but let me just show you the simplest ones. Now, number one, use brisk walk. Movement speed does scale, like I said. 24% movement speed on here is going to be absolutely excellent. So let's keep that total in mind. 24. Add the inversion. Plus 16 on here, so that is plus 40. Then last but not least, sprinting set over here, plus a wrong one, sprinting set here, plus another 10% movement, and this sprinting set movement is basically on permanently, so 50% movement speed, which will all stack together and scale up sprint cap. Now that is the trees. Now I'm going to talk about something other than the trees. Actually, I'm going to talk about which Descendant trees are the top 5, I would say, that are worth investing in. Which trees, in my personal opinion, made such a big difference to the Descendants that is 100% worth investing in. Now, we're going to take out Ines, and we're going to take out Serena from this list, because Serena and Ines are just too busted to even be considered. What Descendants have actually gotten a buff to the point where they are actually much more responsible, viable, and usable. So let's talk about it. Now, with this, I would say in the number 5 spot, I would put Valby. Valby is the 5th tree that I would recommend investing in. Both genuinely very a very good tree. Valby is a strong Descendant already, and this just makes it even stronger, especially with the synergies you can pull off with this. So Valby is definitely my number 5 pick. Number 4 is going to go over to Sharon. Sharon is another great buff Descendant from this tree. And I think Sharon's tree genuinely causes her so much benefit to the point where it makes her builds a lot more viable. She's genuinely absolutely freaking great. And I think Sharon is actually like just the best generally with like a lot of things, and she's underappreciated. This one put her more in the limelight, especially once people figure out crazy synergies with these trees. And yeah, I think that's a fair number 4 pick. Number 3, um, number 3 would have to be Bunny. Bunny massively benefits from the tree. Sometimes I can't even tell the damage difference is there, but I play Bunny at such a fast pace to the point where it genuinely just feels like a blur. It's great. Bunny's actual increase in damage means that with crit builds, which you can achieve on this, you can get consistent 1 million, 1.5 million crits. If you use a critical hit rate and crit damage reactor as well, you can get a lot of crits into the 1.5 million range as well. So crit Bunny is something that may come back. Non-crit Bunny is still going to be a very great option, especially for AoE, but we'll have to see. I think Bunny is the 3rd best tree to invest in. Obvious reasons, it's Bunny. But yeah, let's move on to the next tree. Number 2 is going to be... Damn, let me think about this all up. I know which 2 Descendants I'm deciding between. Number 1 and number 2 are very close. I just have to think about which one I think is better. You know, I'll stick with my gut. I think Luna is number 2. Luna is number 2. Ever so slightly behind the other Descendant that I'm going to put at number 1. But Luna is genuinely such a substantial buff to the point where it is genuinely very good, very great. Her buffs are significantly stronger. And bear in mind, all this experience and testing comes from builds where I've not even modded all synergies to it yet. I've not min-maxed a lot of the stuff. So there's potential for a lot more. Jeba is not number 1. I'm banning anyone who says that, bro. Screw you guys. Okay, number 1. Who is the best Descendant to invest in for the trees? Do you guys have any predictions that are not Jeba? Who do you think I'm going to say is the absolute best Descendant tree to invest in? I want to see your opinions. Who do you guys think? What do you think I'm going to say is the absolute best Descendant tree to invest in, guys? Come on. Give me your opinions. Just drop a name straight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. I put Luna second. Serena, Freyna, Kyle. Ooh, interesting picks, actually. Glare. Okay, interesting picks. I would not put Freyna in top 5, only because, like I said, I think she's got some issues with the tree. But Glare doesn't make enough of a difference. I would say, undoubtedly, the number 1 Descendant that you absolutely need to invest in with the tree is Ultimate Viessa. Viessa's tree makes such a massive difference to Viessa to the point where she's going to come back into the meta, I feel. Viessa was already back and forth in Purge, but I feel like this is the kick Viessa genuinely needed. Like I said, Viessa was one of the baseline Descendants they were testing this on, I think. But Viessa with extra damage, extra cooldown, is so powerful to a point where I genuinely think that Freyna is not going to work as well as Viessa. Nothing is going to work well as Viessa with the tree. Viessa's already got really powerful capabilities, and I would say with the tree, especially for skills, she's gonna become like even more scuffed. I think out of all synergies with the trees, I'm most excited to see Luna synergies and Viessa synergies. I think Viessa, if you already enjoy Viessa and have fun with Viessa, mess around with the tree, add cooldown, add damage, and run an absolute 0 build. I'll literally show you my build, because it is so good. Just hang on a sec. Absolute 0. just full Slayer set your damage. Cooldown and singular if you can on the reactor. You don't even need the secret garden. I just got it here because I like running with it. Literally just full damage build on Viesa. And then arcade tuning, just straight as simple as it gets. And I've still got 3 spaces free. I would just put on some, I'd just put on some extra HP. There you go. Now she survives more too. It's honestly the most fun I've had in ages in this game. And that is really saying something. Running with Viesa again in Purge was allowing me to speedrun to some crazy extents. And I have to admit that. I would say Viesa is the most important one. But that's just my take. Now, I was going to say, I highly doubt that there's very many players that have run as much Sigma Sector as me right now, because maxing out all these trees is a challenge. I'm going to say in terms of gameplay, if I was to look back at my previous streams since starting this challenge 5 days ago, let me give you a rundown of how many hours I was playing per every single day as of right now. So for the last 5 days, today's stream has been 15 hours. Yesterday's stream was 17 hours. The day before was 7 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, 5 hours, and 6 hours. So you can tell I've put about 6 plus 5, 11, plus 8, 19, plus 7, 26, plus 5, 31, plus 17, 48, plus 15, 50, 55-ish. I put 50 plus hours into running nothing but Sigma Sector since the game dropped Sigma Sector, and I can tell you, it was a lot of fun. The drops you get is really fun. I've got 766 full ATAM sets. If anybody wants one, just let me know. I'll give it you for free, bro. I've got 11 Ancient Knight sets, or 9 Ancient Knight sets, sorry. I've not farmed normal mode out yet, so I'm going to get around to doing this soon. And then, other than that, Serena parts, let me show you this. I have 85 Serena Stabilizers, 95 Spiral Catalysts, because I was running the Isolated Desert a lot more than the Broken Boundary. 7 Serena Cells, and 12 Serena Cords. But you're not bothered about that anyways. Let me talk about Purge, or sorry, Sigma Sector as a mod. Now, Sigma Sector as a mod, a lot of fun, great balance, good boss fights, I would say. The drops are absolutely great. The external component drop rates are really good. Fix the fact that you don't get very many double golds, I would say. But honestly, in my experience with how long I've been running, double golds are not really an issue anyways. Now, let me talk about the big kicker, the ARCHE XP. Now, I did do a massive video talking about the ARCHE XP and everything else that you can basically get out of the trees, how long it takes with the boosters, how long it takes with everything else, and all that sort of stuff as well. Now, within that video had all the mass breakdown and everything else like that. Now, the conclusion was you need 115,200 XP to get a Descendant to max. If you do that with one Descendant with no boosters, 77 hard runs in Sigma Sector, so about 5 hours 10-20 minutes with no boosters. With no boosters, and that's not including loading time either, so that could be like 6 hours or whatever. About 3 hours 50 minutes if you get like 3-minute runs with it. If you were to use a 30% booster, that would go down to 60 runs, and it'd take about 4 hours for one Descendant. If you were to get 3-minute runs, it'd gone down to about 3 hours. And now, if you run both boosters, which if you didn't know, the booster you buy from the shop, the booster with caliber, this booster right here, or any of these 5 boosters, depending on the duration you want, they are 30%, and 15% does stack with 30. So if you buy the boosters from here, and then also go buy the boosts from Reina, over here the 15%, these stack on top of each other. I've done the math on it. I remember seeing that they do actually stack. From a single Sigma Sector run, you will get 1500. Oh wait, this is normal. You get 1500 XP. When you take 15% of that, that's 225. Add that onto 30%, you will get 1,275 XP out of a complete double boosted run, which is for the earlier levels, a complete level in one literal run, and it'll just become easier when you get into the higher levels. Now, carrying on from that, if you run both boosters, 53 runs to get everything done, about 3.5 hours if you were to get slow 4-minute runs. If you were to get 3-minute runs, about 2.5 hours. And if you were to get 2.5-minute runs, it's about 2 hours 15 minutes. Now, me and Baker and my friends who have been running this as well have been hitting sub 2-minute runs quite consistently. And the fastest time I recorded myself leveling a Descendant was 1 hour 48 minutes with both boosts, consistent sub 2-minute runs. That was the absolute fastest time. About 1 hour 45 to 50 to 55 minutes. I don't remember exactly because I wasn't timing it, but that felt like a fever dream. And I genuinely think that leveling without a booster is a waste of time. So you should 100% buy a booster if you are going to farm a ton of XP out, whether it be using the real booster or just 15%. Even the 15% does make a massive difference. I will leave a link to my video talking about all of that other stuff. I'll leave a video link to my video in the description talking about all that other stuff so you get the complete breakdown from it. But yeah, I think I've spoken about everything about Sigma Sector, all the trees and everything. This is turning to a hefty video. Is there any questions that you guys have? Any questions, or have I filled you in with enough details to the point where you're all happy? I'm gonna take that as you guys are all happy. Is that the conclusion we're reaching here? Throwing it back, fantastic. I'm happy. Okay, noted. Got it. Right. Well, on that note, this has been a pretty hefty 51-minute video talking about every single Descendant tree, everything about.
Daddy.
I'll let it slide. Right, that's fine. This has been a pretty hefty video of me talking about everything about the trees, every single thing about Sigma Sector, and I genuinely think that they just need to patch out a few bugs. The biggest one being the walls and the collisions. I have bugs where I just stop running in the middle of the floor because there's a barrier there apparently, but there's nothing to be seen, it's just the floor. But other than that, I do think that this is a very successful update. I believe the first official player in the world to have maxed every Descendant out, and that is a trophy I'm going to wear on my head. I do believe Nexon will 100% buff the ARCHE XP rates, because casuals will complain saying they don't have enough time and they don't get their XP all the way up to max. Now, one thing I would say to take advantage of is the dailies. So if you do the dailies, you get 4,000 Descendant ARCHE XP, just like you can see over there. Now, 4,000 is enough for a rank up on even the highest level. If you are in the earlier levels and do have boosters on before running this, the booster does apply, in my testing at least. And I have gotten like 10 levels out of running just the dailies with the boosters on. So make sure to pop your boosters before you run the dailies if you've got everything lying there. If not, you know, make sure to save up your high value relics. But yeah, that's been this video. I hope you've enjoyed. It's going to take me a while to timestamp everything in this one, but I hope you've enjoyed. Smash that like button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, bye.